Precision Door, a name you can trust.
Hi, I'm Derek with Precision Door. Have you been having trouble trying to get rid of the squeaking and the rickety racket noise coming from your garage door? Well, in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to show you how to take care of that problem with a couple of do-it-yourself solutions and some valuable information on how to properly lubricate your garage door. One of the most common errors that homeowners make when greasing their garage door is that they use oil, like the ever so popular WD-40.
Now you read the can, it'll tell you to use it on your garage doors, but if it was up to WD-40, they tell you to put it on their cereal too.
Actually, not that bad. It goes down smooth. Oh, you want some? The problem with WD-40 and oil is that they're degreasers, so they're actually taking out the grease rather than helping your situation. The best thing to use is a lithium-based grease. If you can't find a lithium spray at your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or hardware store, the next best thing would be a silicone spray. It's not as good as lithium, but it's 100 times better than using oil. As you can see, the lithium spray leaves a generous, thick coat that doesn't run or drip like that other oily mess that can cause damage to your door track. You want to lubricate all moving parts of the door. First, make sure that your door is in the closed position. Then disconnect the door from the motor. You'll want to spray the parts as the door is manually being moved around the bend of the track. Make sure you hit all hinges, pivot points, stems, nubs, locks, and arm bar. The next thing you'll want to grease are your rollers. The most common rollers that most manufacturing and garage door companies are using are metal rollers or plastic rollers. If you have plastic rollers, you can put some grease on it. Not sure how much good that's actually going to do because these rollers have no ball bearings and they're only designed to last a few years, so you should probably be replacing them anyway. If you have metal rollers, you can see the ball bearings in there. Exposed ball bearings always need to be greased. Use the straw tube on your spray can to get in there and fill it up. Remember, you'll be doing this with the rollers in place on the door track, so be sure to do it with good lighting. And you may need a step ladder pending your height and line of sight. I'm going to need that step ladder. Precision Door uses seal bearing rollers, so there's nothing to grease. The ball bearings are not exposed, therefore they require no maintenance. The other thing you'll want to grease are the pulleys. If you have a pulley that looks something like this, you can see the ball bearings in the center of the wheel. This one's pretty new, so it's a little harder to see them. As they get old and worn, it'll have a lot more wiggle than that. But at that point, greasing is not going to do anything, so you're going to have to replace them anyway. Just use the straw tube to get in there. Remember that your pulley will be in position, so once it's greased, work the pulley up and down a few times. If you have a pulley with a seal, there's no bearings exposed, so there's no point in greasing. Like the seal bearing rollers, this pulley has zero maintenance. When it comes to your garage door opener, the most common mistake that homeowners make is that they try to grease up the chain. Garage door opener chains come out of the factory with a protective coat already on it, and that should last the life of the motor. Now, if you ever feel the need to give your chain a little love to help maintain it, just take a cloth, spray a little WD-40 on it, and wipe it down. That'll help repel moisture. What you want to do is lubricate the top of the rail. That's where the trolley moves back and forth. It grips the top of the rail, and that's where all your friction is, not at the bottom. Most people spray the bottom of the rail. That's not going to hurt, but it's not going to do anything either. It's just going to create a mess that drips all over your car, your floor, and your head. Another thing you don't need to grease is your track. If you think you see symptoms that make you think you need to grease your track, then you have something wrong with your door. Some people might start adding oil or packing it up with more grease. Over time, wind and air will kick up dust and dirt into the grease and harden it like cement. The only thing on the track that you can grease that'll help out with the noise is this particular part of the track with the brake and the bolts that are screwing the two pieces together. Not really necessary, but it's the only place on the track that I would recommend. Remember, tracks don't need to be greased. They need to be cleaned. And it's something you can easily do with a wet cloth or a little WD-40. When it comes to your garage door springs, you won't need grease if you have extension springs. They've already been dip coated and require no maintenance. On the other hand, if you have a torsion spring, that's going to need a little love. Instead of springs getting stretched, torsion springs get wound, and because of that, you'll want to grease them. Even when they're brand new, they tend to make some noise, but that's because the coils are rubbing against each other. All you have to do is take the spray straw out and coat from one end to the other. Then bring the door up and down a couple of times and let the grease work itself in. The grease is going to do two things on your torsion spring. One, it's going to reduce the amount of noise that you hear from the friction. Secondly, most other companies out there only use oil-tempered or galvanized springs, so the grease helps prevent rust buildup. Here at Precision Door, we offer powder-coated springs. Basically, that's a spring that's been dipped and coated both inside and out, and therefore you never have to worry about rust problems. So going out to another manufacturer and getting a new spring from them, or perhaps going to a Home Depot, you may end up getting a spring that's coated on the outside, but not coated on the inside. And believe me, it's very difficult to coat the inside of a coiled spring. My recommendation is to actually ask your garage door specialist or the salesperson at a Home Depot and find out if they have powder coated springs, because it's the best investment that you can make because it's maintenance free. The last thing you'll need to grease on a torsion spring door are the bearing plates. This piece is your bearing. There are two more located on both sides of the door. That bar sits inside these bearings. When you wind up your spring, all the power gets transferred to it and the bar spins inside the bearings. Unfortunately, the bearings on the plates are not accessible unless you remove the springs, a task I would not recommend to the average homeowner. If you feel they need service, you should immediately contact a professional door technician because you may have an unsafe condition. With a little grease on these spots and the spring itself, you'll have a safer, quieter, and longer lasting garage door. If this video hasn't helped solve your garage door noise problem, I'd strongly recommend contacting a garage door professional for an evaluation and service. Remember, the garage door is the largest moving part of your home, and if not functioning properly, could pose a serious threat in a dangerous situation. We're Precision Door, a name you can trust.
Precision Door Service, a name you can trust.